Indeed, the morning is upon us, and it is that time of the morning. We've got Councillor Peter Swart in here now. Guys, you've been asking about the restrictions that they're talking about on fishing, boating, properties and dams and rivers. So that is being proposed at the moment, and ja, julle klomp wat so hou van visvang, ek het julle nou klaar julle stem dik gemaak en sê gaan ons nou nie meer kan visvang nie. So kom ons hoor die waarheid vanoggend presies waaroor dit gaan. Welcome this morning, Councillor Swart. So nice to have you with us all the way from the dam side. We don't usually go to that side, but yeah, I think we should go there more often. It is so beautiful out there.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you to your listeners for tuning in. This is a very important issue. It's because of assistance from one of our MPs, Dr. Igor Skierkortel, a DA member of the provincial legislature in the Free State. We took it on and we basically expanded on it. You need somebody in that type of seat to get the right attention, you know.
Of course.
So there's a few things that we as the DA obviously opposes very, very stringently, and it comes down to overreach. It comes down to the department is overreaching its mandate. Not just that, it's making it impossible for them to actually govern what they are saying in the legislation.
Exactly.
There's already a situation where I know some of the anglers will know that fishing licenses is not being enforced anymore.
Correct.
So if they can't even enforce something like a fishing license, how do they want to enforce something as overwhelming as this? You know, the fact of the matter is there's a few little things in the legislation that they talk about. I've written some of them down, so I'm going to read some of them.
Please, thank you.
So one of them is, for example, all the surface water access through written agreements only.
Okay.
So even if you've got a property on the water that's got its own waterfront that you paid millions for probably,
of course,
to have that luxury, the distance between, or the land between the 100-year water line and the actual water's edge is now state-owned. Even though you've got a lease on it, or even though you've got a bond on it and you actually pay for the rates and taxes for that piece of property. They now in this legislation decide we own that property and you need to go through an agreement with the Department of Water and Sanitation to actually use that. Now in certain instances that could be 10, 20, 50 meters even.
That's insane though.
So they're taking away half of your property just because they decided to. So something like that is completely, it's just stupid.
It's unacceptable.
And then there's another one that says access to water only through authorized access points. And again, this comes back to that thing. You bought the property on the water so that you can have easy access. You can sit on the bank, you can fish.
Yes.
You can access your boat and go enjoy yourself on the river or the dam. And then they come and saying, now you're not allowed to do that anymore. You need to go to one of our approved access points.
Sure.
Now, for example, in a place like Vaal Marina, there's a bunch of people on the ring road that's got those expensive properties that they bought simply so that they can have that waterfront property.
Correct.
And if you now come and say to them, you can't access the water through your property anymore, you need to go to the waterfront, for example.
Correct, yeah.
Or to one of our approved access points. It just doesn't make any sense. There's so many things. Direct access, you need formal agreements. So they've basically turned the public, especially if you've got visitors. If a visitor comes and he wants to access the water, you as the owner of the property, whether it be a club like a fishing club or a boating club, or even if it's just a bed and breakfast or a lodge,
yes,
you now need to enforce a bunch of legislation for the department. There's no way that they're going to go through it without a big fight.
Of course.
There's a lot of people that's reached out to us already. There's a campaign going on, Dear SA. Now, this is very important for the residents to understand. Now, technically, yesterday was one of the last days that you could submit, but they've now extended it. We just got an email yesterday that because of the amount of objections they've already received, 9,500, that the last number that I heard, they are going to have 3 more public meetings, but it's online meetings. They're going to have 3 more meetings. One is on the 15th. One is on the 17th, I think, and the last one is on the 20th. So that effectively extends your comment period up until at least the 20th. We have, through the legislator and through Dr. Igor Skierkortel, We have asked for an extension to make it even, to give us about 30 days more.
Okay.
But whether that's going to come, we'll still see. The fact of the matter is that that campaign running on DRSA, I had the privilege to work with Rob Hutchinson of DRSA,
Okay.
and he helped us set up this campaign. And that type of thing versus, for example, a petition.
Mm-hmm.
The residents must remember that a petition is seen by the department as only one submission, even though it might have 10,000 signatures on it. So you physically actually need to send one email per person
Mm-hmm.
to be able to make a big impact on this. And this is what the DRSA platform does.
Okay.
Every submission that you fill in online, it guides you through this. It shows you the different points of contention, and it helps you draft up a complaint against that.
Okay.
And then when you hit send, it basically sends that to the correct email as one submission.
As one submission.
So it's much more important to do something like that and make sure that you get 10, 20, 30,000 submissions than to do a petition that's counted as only one submission, even though it's got 10,000 signatures on it. So there's already a campaign running.
Where can people join this campaign if they want to? If the listeners now feel they want to say their say.
So look on my social media. For those that follow me on social media, there's links all over on my WhatsApp. But we'll also I'll maybe give your office the link, and you can post it on your page as well.
We'll put it on our website and everywhere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, it's very important. The state doesn't. So the funny thing is, they're not even shy to admit that there's a commercial aspect to it for them.
Okay.
For example, if you've got a business next to the property, next to the dam, whether it be a dam or whether it be a river, it basically talks about all water bodies, state-owned water bodies, which could be the river as well. And for example, just my Ward 1 in Midvale has got about 70 kilometers of coastline or waterfront. And that includes now the dam part and then the river all the way from the dam wall almost to Three Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those properties, if you run a business next to it, the state basically forces you now to go into a public-private partnership because you are using one of their resources to generate income for your business. So they kind of just going and saying, okay, whatever you've built up over the last 30, 40 years, we're going to now take a part of it, and you've got no say in it. So yeah, we're fighting this tooth and nail.
It is crazy though. I cannot understand how they can even think about doing this. I mean, at the end of the day, they're taking your property. That's what they're doing.
It's expropriation without compensation. Exactly. Yeah. So
I didn't want to put it in those terms, but
no, absolutely. You know, we put it in those terms because that's what it is. You know, they're very clever when they draft up these regulations. They go and they use words like safety and protection and all of these kind of things. Now, they've also tried to sweeten the deal a little bit for the residents. Mm-hmm. And in the legislation, they talk about they banning, for example, illegal gillnet fishing. And that's a problem that's very relevant on all the water bodies and also so on the Vaal Dam, and especially in our area.
Okay.
There's thousands of fish being caught in gill nets that's just lying there overnight, and then these people come at night and they remove them. So in this legislation, there's actually two pieces that we actually support. The one is to prevent people from accessing the water at night.
Okay.
And that will make enforcement easier because if there's a curfew and you're on the water at night, what are you doing there? You're breaking the law already. Because the thing is with the gill net fishing, for example, you need to catch the guy, the perpetrator, in the act. You need to actually see him hang over the boat, pull up the net and take out the fish.
Okay.
And if you can't catch him like that, if he's just on the water with a canoe and he's even close to the net, you can't prove that he's actually there to do the fishing. So now something like this, having a curfew on the water's usage, they use it also as safety and protection, but it will actually assist law enforcement to catch these guys. So that type of thing is extremely important. They've banned that gillnet fishing. They've banned it outright in the legislation, and they've also put the curfew on the water use. Now that we support.
That's a good thing. It is.
But they're using that now to try and mask or try and make you forget about all the other things that they're writing. And if you get the experts to go into this legislation and dissect it, and the people that's part of these portfolio committees, then you quickly realize that there's a lot more sinister things. They're open about the commercial agreements. If you make money out of their resource, which is the dam, then you need to basically provide them a piece of the pie.
That is crazy. No, I took the proposed legislation and I simply fed it into ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and it came back saying exactly what you're saying. It's not cool. It's not right.
Yeah.
The way they're approaching it is not right. I don't know how. So the best way to do this obviously is for the public to stand up.
Absolutely. I mean, there's another thing that I just need to mention.
Mhm.
So, if you've been saving for a few years, you wanna now go and retire next to the dam and have this nice property that you can live the rest of your life out of. Now, one of the legislations is these leases that the state is proposing that you go on with it. They're only 10 years.
Yeah.
Now that makes a bond, it makes it completely unbankable.
Of course.
Because there's no financial institution that's going to grant you, if you want to open a business next to the dam and you say, listen, I want a lodge or a restaurant or something like that, and you go to the bank with a business plan to apply for a business loan, and you want to take this bond over 20 years, if you now come and say, okay, but I'm only guaranteed for 10 years because that's what the state is.
They'll laugh at you.
There's no bank that's going to grant
No,
you.
there's a lot of bank will laugh at you.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's so many things that they haven't taken into consideration. Fishing clubs, boating clubs, all these kind of sporting clubs next to the dam.
Exactly.
They now need to. They must. There's a requirement for them to apply to a SASCOC registered or recognised body.
Okay.
So I mean, a small angling club that's now starting somewhere, they need to go through all these bureaucratic red tape to just try and practice their sport.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that they have completely ignored the National Water Act in this new legislation, which already guarantees all these rights, the use of the water and all of that.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that the DA and the people that's in Parliament and in the legislature will definitely take them on.
Take them on.
So,
and does this also, let's say I've got a house on the beach. Is it the same story there? Or not really?
At this stage, it's only inland waters.
Only inland,
so the coast obviously has their own set of rules. Yeah, so it's only the inland waters, the dams and the rivers and the streams.
I take the Vaal Dam. I have family who have beautiful property at Harveysport Dam right on the. I mean, they've been there living there for 80 years.
Exactly.
And now suddenly they've got to give up part of their land because the state feels that.
Exactly, yeah, and it infringes on your historical rights, like you said. For example, so one of the things, there's already legislation about this building inside the 1 in 100 year line. Now that's obviously for flooding protection. That's already in place. People know that, although some people tend to ignore stuff like that if they want to have a boathouse next to the river or the dam. But that law's already in place. But now what this does is that anything that's already there, if you've built in the 1 in 100 year line, they can pretty much enforce you to demolish it. So,
or they'll take it.
Yeah, so some of these, that's where the expropriation comes in. So some of the things they've been there since the 1970s.
Correct.
So this legislation now forces you to something that's been there for probably longer than a lot of the owners have been alive. Is now all of a sudden state-owned property. So that's just another way of doing expropriation without compensation. So yeah, we're fighting this tooth and nail. So we'll put up all the links wherever necessary. And every single person that's got a property on the water or goes there for fishing or recreation, you guys need to send us far and wide, and we need to get thousands and thousands and thousands of complaints in against us.
Absolutely, and we'll do everything in our power from MCR side to get as many people to jump onto this and obviously join in this, because there's no other way. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I can't put it in any other civilized way. I mean, the international community, they're already very aware of the expropriation of land that's without compensation that's coming. So maybe this must also be made very clear to the guys that's already screaming about it.
Yeah. No. Listen, we need all the voices that we can against this type of thing, because you know what? It's not just, if you think about the broader economic impact of this.
Yes.
If I've got a fishing club and now all of a sudden they are banning me because of legislation and red tape to be able to practice my sport.
Yes.
It doesn't just affect me as a fisher or the angler. It affects the wider economic value chain.
It does.
So the fishing shops, the guy that sells you your bait, the guy that sells you your rod and your reel, the person that supplies you with accommodation next to the dam,
Correct.
the catering companies that supplies them, the cleaning companies that cleans the establishment. You know, all of these economic clusters are being impacted by something as arbitrary as this.
Absolutely.
So it's completely unnecessary, and it's just a way of extracting revenue. And we have to remember, we have to be honest, it's election season.
Of course.
And you always find these type of outrageous proposals, you know, in an election year. And we shouldn't fall for it. We should fight it tooth and nail, and we will. And it will go to the highest court if it needs to. There's a lot of things that I haven't even mentioned here today.
Yes.
That you can take on. I'm talking about constitutional rights that they overstepping, etc. So yeah, I urge every single resident and every single person that often uses the dam for recreational purpose, or just goes there for having a nice quiet
Friday or something else.
To jump onto this and then send the campaigns far and wide and put in your objection. So, like I said, the actual, if you're talking about from the 16th of January when they first launched this, the actual expiration date will be tomorrow.
Okay.
The thing is you don't want to send everything on the last day, because then it crashes the service and some of these things don't get through. So you want to try and get your submissions in a little bit beforehand, and now that they've announced that they're going to have 3 more meetings online,
Okay.
it essentially extends it to around about the 20th at least that we can know of. But we have requested them to give us longer time. So yeah, all the socials on Peter Swart, the councillor page, and also then obviously you said that on the XCR
We'll put
page.
it all over our pages as well.
Perfect.
100%. Anything else you want to add?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I want to, so people have to remember this type of thing when it comes up. There's always sinister or behind the scenes type of things that the government or the lawmakers are trying to achieve with this.
Of course.
So what I want to make sure the residents understand is, it's not enough to go onto a social media page and where this thing is written down and where you read about this, and now throw your toys out of the cot, even though it's perfectly justified, on the social media page, because that doesn't go anywhere.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. You need to go to one of the official channels. It's also not, people have to realize that it's also not relevant enough for them to say, I don't agree with this because I'm an angler and I still want to use the dam. The department doesn't give 2 hoots about that. You need to take them on the legislation, on the constitutional rights,
Correct.
on certain laws and regulations that's already in place, on historical rights that you already have through the National Water Act. You need to be able to take them on at their own game. You know, they try and hide these ideas with legislation and all kinds of legal jargon that the normal person doesn't understand. And that's where you need people, you know, like the Dr. Igor Skierkogels or some of the ministers that we have, that's very clued up, some of them are even lawyers, to dissect these things and make people like you did with ChatGPT. Put it into a ChatGPT or some language model and tell the system, make this so that I can understand it as a layman.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it will tell you exactly what they're trying to do with it. But then you need to take that further, and you need to formulate your complaint and your objection in their language.
In their language.
And that's why this DRSA campaign, because that basically does it in the background. You'll see on the campaign on the page, it's got drop-down menus, for example, and it kind of guides you on what to say and what you don't agree
How
with.
to do it properly.
Yeah, and then when they send the email in the background, it goes through in a proper format to make these people understand that we are not going to stand for this. So what I'm saying is follow the official channels. Don't just complain on social media. You need to do this submissions as well on the links, or even the website, or not the website, the email that they gave you on the document.
On the document.
So those type of things is where you need to submit it. It doesn't help just complaining about it on social media.
100%, and I agree. All right then, and like I say, we'll rally the troops.
Thank
out
you very
here. We need to get this sorted out. Yeah, we can't just sit back and let people change legislation the way they want to because it's going to suit them. Thank you so much for coming in again today. It's always good having you out here. Yeah, let's do this. Like I say, we'll make sure all our listeners.
Thanks, Emilio. It was a pleasure being here.